Donc, le chauffage, c'est le truc rectangulaire que vous voyez là au milieu de l'écran. Je vais vous montrer comment c'est à l'extérieur. Enfin, on voit pas vraiment à l'extérieur, mais en fait, c'est ça le chauffage. Voilà. Bonjour, bonjour, c'est Florence. Voilà, donc ça c'est l'avant du camping-car, la capucine, pep. Là si on rentre, là c'est notre gaz. Et là où je vous ai montré un truc, le chauffage en gros il est à peu près à ce niveau. Là en dessous, donc vous l'avez vu. Donc c'est un chauffage Webasto qui marche avec le carburant du moteur. Et je vais faire le tour du camping-car en fait pour vous montrer en fait ce qui se passe, comment marche le chauffage, pour qu'on comprenne un peu mieux. Je suis désolée, il y a un camion qui passe. Pour qu'on comprenne un peu mieux ce qui se passe. Attention au chat. Donc voilà, quand on rentre dans le camping-car, vous avez là le panneau pour nous dire ce qu'on a comme eau, machin. Vous avez montré ça, je crois qu'elle voulait quoi française, ça a une vidéo sur tout ça. Tiens voilà, on va voir combien on a d'eau en même temps. Voilà. Donc là par contre, ça c'est donc le thermostat du chauffage. Et puis là-dedans, là ça c'est la sonde je pense. Enfin tout ça c'est branché là, donc voilà. Alors nous on est ici, on est à l'arrière droit du camping-car, là c'est le devant du camping-car. Hein. À droite passager, à gauche conducteur, et donc en gros le chauffage il est là en dessous quelque part à peu près à ce niveau, et donc il y a des branchements qui passent dans tout le camping-car en travers, enfin ou sur le côté, je sais pas exactement, pour arriver là pour que ça marche. Donc à un moment ça doit passer, je pense quelque part en dessous là, ça doit passer sous le... il nous avait dit qu'il fallait vider ce coffre là, et il y a un coffre aussi là en dessous, donc quelque part il doit y avoir des fils qui passent là, puis je suppose sur le côté là, et puis derrière dans le placard de la cuisinière là derrière on a une espèce de truc où on voit qu'il y a des fils, et puis après ça arrive là. Donc voilà, je vais enlever le masque parce que maintenant je suis à l'intérieur du camping-car. Donc en fait ce qu'on nous a expliqué quand il y a eu la panne, c'est que quelque part entre, donc à gauche où il y a la machine et puis la sonde et le thermostat, il y avait un problème. Voilà. Et il y a Mani. Bonjour, tu veux dire bonjour?
Bonjour.
There's a strange man. Il y a un homme bizarre à la fenêtre. Voilà. Hello, hello.
Hello.
So as you saw in the very quick introduction at the beginning of this video, we are going to finally tell you exactly what happened with the heater. As you have seen, it now works, but it's been a long story and we haven't actually really talked about it because everything was up in the air for a long time, and we didn't really feel like just talking about, just like focusing on the negative that was happening, so we talked about other things, and now we're just going to tell you the whole story of our little heating or non-heating saga.
Yeah.
So when did we get the RV or the camper?
We were with the RV in December, at the beginning of December, and what happened is that right away when we got it, we noticed, like Florence noticed, like within the first day, right?
Yeah, the first day I thought, let's try the heater.
Heater wasn't working. At least we thought it was not working properly, and then from there everything started. What happened is that, you know, we just right away told
we told Loisireo,
the Loisireo, which is
the people we bought the
concession,
I don't know, the dealership. We change languages a lot.
Yeah, the dealership, and you know, they were like, oh, bring it. Like it seemed that it was going to be something fairly simple, right? And in their understanding, it was, because they, you know,
well, they thought, yeah, we took it.
It was now. What happened is we took it. It did not fix it, but then there was the part of the vacations actually.
Yeah. So yeah, the first thing that happened is that when we first took it, there's apparently a little code when when you turn on the heater. Normally the light is solid, and our light was blinking, and then you count the number of times that it lights up, and that gives you, there's like a code for, you know, the number. So like it was 17 times, I will tell you, because I know we saw it a few times.
Yeah.
And that they established that it was la sonde, which I'm not sure what that is, like what decides
Like
the what measures
I guess the sensor, right? It's like the
it's a sensor, a sensor, yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, yes.
A type of sensor.
A type of sensor.
And then it was, as you say, it was vacation.
And what happened is that then when they noticed, they were like, okay, you know, we need to, you know, you can take it to this person that is a special. What, by the way, we have a Webasto.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Webasto or Webasto, but it's that brand.
That brand, and I'm not sure for you who are watching, I don't know what part in the world you are, but here it's a very common brand for
it's very known.
RVs and camping cars or camping campers or motorhomes. And so we were being taken to an expert of that, but then we had to wait to the
next
December,
month. It was exactly
we had to wait December, the entire December, because
for those of you who don't know, in
ahead.
France, sorry, you were
probably
going to say
everybody
that?
knows.
Well, I don't know. A lot of people who don't live in France maybe don't realize that the period just before Christmas, so basically 2 weeks before Christmas, or let's say 10 days before Christmas, depending on when Christmas is, like depending what day of the week, it's kind of, you know, it's at least a week before Christmas and like a week after. So Christmas, New Year's, there's like 2 weeks where everything closes in France. So we ordered the part that we thought that we needed on the 8th of December, and the guy closed on the 18th, and it was going to take more than 10 days, so it wasn't going to happen in December. And
remember, all this, just to have a good understanding, all this is happening while the pandemic is happening, so not everything, it was, you know, for their benefit, not everything was running like smoother, like normal. And when we say we order, it's like talking to Benimar, who is the company, and telling them this is happening, and then saying, okay, we're going to send the part that you need.
So it's Benimar talking to Loisireo, the dealership, and we're talking to the dealership.
And then Loisireo talking to the person who they are going to send us to us, the expert.
So
saying, okay, we're getting the part, it's going to get to you, and so on. So there were a lot of conversations that did not involve us.
Right.
But, you know, because we were the customer, so.
Yeah. And, you know, at that point, we were like, okay, you know, bad luck. They're going to fix it in January. We're good. And off we go. Yeah. So then we went there, and the guy started to dismantle the whole thing, as I showed you that box that I showed you at the beginning. And then he came back to see us, and he said, it's not the sensor. Yeah,
he said it's not the sensor, and he has a machine, and you know, he's a specialist in his all the certifications of Webasto. And he said it's not that, it's something else. And at that moment, he already said, this looks like you're gonna have to go back to the factory
in Spain. And we were like,
or it has to go back to the factory. No, he didn't say us, really, but he said it's a back even, and this was in French, but it was like expression.
It's called it's retour usine, which is literally back to factory. Right. So it's like for him, it was the best solution right away.
Yeah, right away. That was, and understand that we made an effort to buy the vehicle that we have, the RV, the Benimar, new to not have this type of problems. Yeah. We were at the beginning when we started planning to have the RV and live there, you know, and do the traveling and do all this. All the time we really were planning at something more a used vehicle, a used one that it was not too bad, you know, within our budget. But I'm pretty sure, I think we had mentioned it, that what happened is that just the prices had gone so much up for all the used one and everything, because the sale of RVs, at least in
In the whole of Europe.
In the
really.
whole of
In
Europe.
the whole of Europe
I
has
think
just
United
gone
States
through.
also.
I think they
I
said
go-
it was, we heard it in one of the lives the other day, it was like 150 or 170% more than other years or something. So, you know.
It's skyrocketed. So if a person had even a really messed up RV and they decided to sell it, they would sell it and they would sell it for more.
For way more.
And that's what happened. And even one person in a dealership that we went to told us, you know, this is the situation.
Yeah.
And really, you should not even.
For the difference of price, we were really not getting our value for the money, because now the market is, you know, like he actually just said, you know, the used market is not worth what it is.
And what happened is when you buy new, then you have that warranty.
Right.
At least of the new, which is what saved us in this case.
Yeah, in this case, yeah, we
did that, and that's what helped us. So a lot of this that we're talking to you about is already it was being covered by the warranty.
Right.
So, and just a little bit more, just to have an idea, is that, you know, so it's a Benimar, and because we're gonna be speaking, and we have been speaking a lot about Benimar. It's a Benimar, it's a Spanish brand, and it's just so far for us, it's a good RV for us. We like it and all that.
I think it's a very good starter RV.
Yeah, it's not for new. It's a good price. You know, it's not. It's
I think it's really good value for money. And I mean, we've compared to others that are more in the luxury range.
Top, you know, there's
I mean, but for us, it was really not worth the difference in the expense, because
we
don't care for that extra comfort.
We don't care that much, and at the moment, for us to be just starting, it's a good one.
Exactly, it's a good starter.
A good start, because we're in the mix of having something that it was new, that we can maybe use it and not have certain type of problem, and at the same time some sort of comfort because it's new.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And we're not exactly like DIY experts.
We're not like.
So we also thought like we need something where we don't need to fix too many things ourselves. So
and the price.
And the price was I think really I would say for Benimar, it's really a very good value for money type of vehicles, and all the ones that we've seen, it seems like they offer a lot for a better price range.
Correct, and it seems like
that's what will.
You know, it seems like to be the brand that because when we were in Morella, we noticed a lot of Benimars and some like ours, and some did say like a number and so on. It seems like it's what some companies use to rent. For people to use for their weekend or just their vacations, because some people just do that. They just rent it and return it. They don't own it. And it seems that Benimar has that market, at least in Spain.
Yeah, here, they seem to have
we saw a lot of them that were like that.
So but back to the heater.
Yeah. Okay. So the heater.
So then I want to kind of summarize the following like 2 months, because actually 3 months almost. So we were then early January, and we already hear that there's a good chance that it's going to have to go back to the factory. But then we went back to Loisireo, the dealership, and really, you know, quite nicely, they thought, okay, no, we're going to try to find another solution. So just to cut a very long story short, altogether, the RV was seen 5 times. Loisireo got it to work, got the heater to work. It was 5 times.
Yeah, so no, I was thinking of the month. So
So by the time we had our appointment in Benimar, it was early April, so it was 4 months.
Yeah.
What happened then is that, and what's really weird and kind of maybe unique about the problem that we had is that they got it to work a couple of times. It started, but then it stopped. So at one point they had to order another part, because the guy, the first expert that we saw early January, said that it's not the sensor, but it's somewhere in the wiring of
in the connection between the controller of the heater to where the heater
and the actual heater, which is underneath on the other side.
The cabling or something like that. That was his take of what was happening.
And so they tried, and at one point they actually had the RV for a couple of days, and they called us the first day and they say the heating works, it's boiling in there, you'll see. And then the next day we went to get back our vehicle and we saw it work. It was blowing, and we could see there was condensation where they had it working for a while.
And then it would
And
stop.
then it was kind of warm that day, and I thought, okay, we're not going to let the heater, we're not going to have like 30 Celsius in the vehicle. We live in it, like it's winter. And I went to just turn the thermostat down, and it started to blink again.
Yeah,
and I told that to the people at Loisireo, and they couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
like their faces just went. Like it was just
so
unbelievable.
just to tell you, for their benefit, Loisireo and everybody, it was not. It seems like, and right now it's working very well. It was not a problem. It was not a common issue. It seems like
not at all.
It seems like it was.
I think they would have easily fixed it if we had a really weird issue in it. The problem that we had was very unusual, and it's one of those breakdowns that's really hard to fix, because sometimes it works. Like if it had never worked at all
if
ever,
it had stopped working, it was easier.
then
for
it was
them,
easy. Like maybe you just changed the machine and that was it. But it wasn't that. Like there was something strange. So in the end, they sent us again to one more, like the big whole like specialist of Webasto in the whole region type of thing. Like a big company that's been in business for hundreds of years. Obviously at that time they probably didn't deal with RVs, but. And the same exact thing. They tested it and they said it's somewhere in the wiring.
And understanding in this time, it did not take of these people more than, I would say, 20 minutes to decide.
To say that's
it. This is not something that we should help you with. It was more like they were more like, is something that you should deal with Loisireo and the company. We can fix it our own way, but since it's a new vehicle, we suggest their advice was to
go back to Benimar, because then it would go in properly. Yeah.
At that point, that person even told us, that company even told us, because we speak Spanish, they were like, you should take it there and you should talk to them. And
that's after a little while after that there was a back and forth with Loisireo and us, and Loisireo talking to Benimar to try to organize the trip, because it seemed like at one point, like there was a time where we just didn't seem to understand each other as to what we wanted. One of the main issues was how they were going to reimburse us for the trip, and also when we're going to stay while they have the RV, because we live in it. Where do we stay with the cats?
Exactly.
And
it was the logistics, and also what we did not want to was just all of a sudden just Loisireo making it our problem, and then let us know how it went to you. They needed to be
they need to own. I mean, we bought it from them, and that's how it works. And at one point they said, okay, well, talk to Benimar, and then even Benimar went back to them and said, well, no, like they bought it from you. You talk to them, So it took a little while to finally get to an agreement, and the main thing in the end was where we could stay. Because apparently Benimar has no like partner hotels or Airbnbs or whatever they use that accept pets, which I thought was really strange, because when I searched, there was like, I got like over like 370 entries of places that accept pets over there, but apparently Benimar didn't do that.
Yeah.
And you suggested?
Yeah, well, I have suggested, can we look for the place and then they can pay for it? And then like that, we find a place that can take cats. And that's what happened. We found the cool Airbnb that you saw in last week's video. The nice view and all that.
If you didn't see it, I'll just put the link up there so that you can watch that.
In Peñíscola, Spain.
And our whole timing was interesting, because it was just when the government announced the new restrictions, and we managed to leave just before. And I think we wouldn't have had any issues anyway to leave, but
because we had
as
letters
it happens,
and everything.
We had like official reasons to go there.
And remember, this was a conversation from months before, so they can see everything that people were waiting for us here in Spain. But anyway, we left when we saw that it was the right time, and we should leave.
And then also to be fair to Benimar, we had an appointment at 7 a.m. They work very early. They start 7 a.m. and they finish at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We had an appointment at 7 a.m. on it was the 6th of April, the day after Easter Monday.
Easter Monday.
And they said, we can do it in
the rest of the week. So let's say by Friday it should be okay. And we actually had a couple of other issues. One thing that we noticed on the ride was like something that was about to fall off, like under the protection for the gas.
Yeah.
That was just like a screw that needed to be added. We had a little issue with the rear camera, the button for the rear camera. And one thing that they did, I think that was very nice, was the engine thing.
Yeah, because
we had
for those of you that don't have or considering buying an RV, or it seems like there's the people who take care of the living area, and then there's the people who take care of what is the car or the engine. So it's different people. For us it's Fiat, so anything that has to do with the engine, anything like that is Fiat, and then the rest is
Benimar or Loisireo. Yeah.
And in this case they were nice enough that because we saw a check engine light that came up, we read a little bit about it. Florence was checking while we were driving. That was when we were driving down to Spain, and we saw that it was something, but it was not super awful. So we were saying, okay, we talked to Fiat, but we told Benimar, and they also took care of it. They called the Fiat people.
Yeah, they have, so because most of their...
when we got that, the heater worked, and they
had fixed so that was nice, because what happened is that, of course, because they work with a lot of Fiat, they have like Fiat mechanics that come on a regular basis, and because they saw the problem, they also had the guy look at that and just replace. It was a little part that they had to replace. And just to explain, so with the heater, what we understand is that they changed the actual heater. They said that apparently there was some kind of bad connection inside the heater itself. And I guess that's one of the things that when they say somewhere in the wiring, I don't think like the Webasto especially are not able to say where it is in the wiring.
Yeah, that's true. They always say I'm not able to see, because they felt what they were saying. They would have to
dismantle the whole thing.
Benimar, to find where it is. But
and that's why it was better, because Benimar knows exactly where the wires are and how they did it. Whereas the two people who looked at it, they know like it's wired somewhere and it goes from somewhere inside the machine to the other side, but they don't exactly know how. So at least Benimar that has that advantage. Yeah. And so they told us that they did change the machine, and then they also changed the wiring. And I mean, regardless, now it works. We've tested it.
It's close to 2 weeks now, or 1 week?
A week and a half, I guess.
So is it close to a week and a half? And so far,
we've used it not all the time, but
not all the time, because we're in fairly good weather. Look how we are dressed.
Yeah, tonight it's it gets cool in the morning.
So when we need it, we have put it, and even the thermometer, the
thermostat,
and it worked. So far it has worked well enough for us. So
yeah, and we do plan to give you a proper tour of the vehicle, but and at the moment I think we both kind of felt like while this wasn't like completely done and fixed and we were sure, we just both like didn't really feel like doing anything with it, and we want to decorate and add things.
Yeah, it's like that. There's we say it in baseball and all that. We don't want to jinx it.
Right.
So you don't want to jinx it. So you don't want to talk much about it. Kind of like go with what is happening and so on, and see where. So not to talk much about it, and then. When we felt like, okay, it's working now, this is what happened.
So overall, just to say, you will get a tour, like a proper tour, because I did a small one like a little while ago. A while ago we did that, but very quick at the very beginning. But you'll get a proper tour. But we want to say that, overall, we're still happy with Loisireo Sainte-Eulalie. There's like, they tried to do more. Like at one point we say, okay, no, we don't want to try anymore, but they still thought, okay, well, we maybe avoid a trip.
They kept the communication. I have to say they kept the communication. My take was sometimes that, because I come from the United States and I have this, I know customer service, the customer is, hey, I pay you for this and go, but based on what I've noticed, how they work here, meaning in France and so on, I think they did very good job at least staying in communication. I think most of the time, if it was by email or by call, they reply or answer within the day.
It was
you know,
really fast.
Within.
And
so,
Benimar, once we had managed, like they were good.
Because Benimar never dealt with us, which I understand in reality until
we were there.
We got here. But once we got here, they were waiting for us. Because remember, this is the factory. They were like, we didn't drove to a mechanic that Benimar knew and all that. We drove to the factory. We had to be checked in by security. They even take our temperatures and all that. And then they say, go park there. Somebody's going to come and get you and so on. And they gave us a car.
And we had a car,
meanwhile. They gave us a loaner.
We've already been reimbursed. Just to say also, we gave them all the bills. They paid for the days. Like we had to take the Airbnb a little bit sooner, but that was kind of our choice because of, we thought first that we maybe could go on the Monday.
Correct.
But we couldn't, and then we traveled a little bit sooner, and we wanted to be sure that we were there and we had time to empty all the stuff because we were going to be for about a week, you know, without all our things. Remember, we live in it, so we really have all our life. It's not like we just like pack a bag. So we had to move and plus move the cats. So we gave ourselves a little bit more time. So that was kind of our choice. But they paid us back.
They paid for the time,
the time
that
we
were there.
And the trip, the gas, and the tolls for the roads that you had to pay for. On the way.
That's good, you know. That I say.
So I think overall
went pretty fast. That part went pretty fast.
Yeah, and we're happy with both, really. You know, we can't say that we have any regret. And so far, so far so good. We're gonna
the person spoke French and Spanish.
And Spanish, yeah, of course.
There was not a miscommunication or anything like that.
So that was it. That was the Heater Saga, and we wanted to tell you about it. I think it took a little bit longer than I thought, but way longer. But it was. I mean, this is. Remember that this is a summary of like 4 months of a saga, real saga, where every time we thought, okay, this is it, and every time they told us, okay, we're going to do another repair, we have to wait for this part, and and so on and so forth.
I went through my first. In short, I went through my first real winter without a heater.
Without a proper heater. That's so.
We had a little
heater when we were plugged in.
A little spot heater. We needed electricity. No matter where we were, we had to have electricity.
And that means that it's called a space heater. It only heats a small space, but we survived and we did it, and it was a good way to like. Use us to what winter is like. Well, me and for him the first time.
The first time.
So this is it.
Winter.
All right. So that was the saga of the heater. Ciao.
Ciao.